day, she seems like her usual bubbly self. She was actually at my apartment, and we were just kind of like hanging out for game day. And she was also with her roommates at that time too.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. So there's a deluge of information coming out right now, documentaries, constant news, a flood of people who knew Kohberger adding their 2 cents worth, also friends of Kaylee and Maddie and Xana and Ethan coming out as well. You've just heard one of them, Kayla Nguyen. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right, but she's a friend of the victims. The first time we've heard from her. So a lot of noise, also a lot of blowhards giving their various expert assessments of the case. One thing I missed during the cacophony after his arrest that I wanted to share with you was Kohberger's smart Alec retort when he was taken into custody and the cops asked if he knew what was going on. That's the one thing I want to share with you. I also want to share with you some additional insight from the affidavit that we've perhaps not fully appreciated. But before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Many thanks to the thousands of you who have subscribed over the last few days. Welcome to True Crime Rocket Science. This is a channel where we like to think critically. We don't try to sensationalize. We try to take a respectful, truthful, authentic approach to a very serious topic. And this is a very serious case as well, a quadruple homicide. I will be doing a live stream following this episode where we're going to recap what we have found out, and I might actually even deal with the 7th clue that we've all missed as well. So look out for that. If you're enjoying this episode, please like, share, leave a comment. You can also hit the thanks button, and let's get started. So you guys know what a smart Alec is. It's sort of meant in a derogatory way. If you call someone a smart Alec, it's someone who's irritating because they behave as though they always know everything. Well, isn't that quite a good descriptor for our suspect here, right? A wise guy, right? Now, this story from Law and Crime actually came out 2 weeks ago on January 2nd. Quote, Labar, that is the initial attorney that represented Kohberger, he told Law and Crime's one of Law and Crime's reporters that Kohberger spoke with law enforcement for 5 to 15 minutes at the Pennsylvania State Police Barracks following his arrest early last Friday morning. Now, we aren't really privy to what the cops have been doing or what they've been saying because there's a gag order, but we found this information out via his attorney, right? Via what Kohberger said to his attorney. And so we found out that he actually spoke to law enforcement for 5 to 15 minutes, quite a long period of time. And I think what that refers to is likely law enforcement from Idaho, that the cops from Idaho, possibly even the FBI, sat him down in that sort of cubicle style setup and basically wanted to question him, wanted to interrogate him. And so what happened during that process? Well, interestingly, Kohberger waived his Miranda rights, but then after that he requested an attorney. What does that tell us? Well, one has a sense that Kohberger himself overestimated his situation, I guess, and I think simultaneously underestimated the case against him or the connection the cops may have felt they had. Now, perhaps they requested that he give a DNA sample, and that sort of really sort of set a red light off in his mind. Now, according to the article, quote, Labar said Kohberger told him that police asked his client if he understood what was going on. And this was his response. He said something to the effect of, yes, certainly I'm aware of what's going on. I'm 10 miles away from this. Then Labar said Kohberger invoked his right to counsel and asked for an attorney, end quote. Now that's certainly, saying, do you know what's going on? Yes, certainly I'm aware of what's going on. I'm 10 miles away from this. Can you see it has kind of a testy, supercilious ring to it, doesn't it? Doesn't that just sound like this person that we've gotten to know, who likes to appear to be the most intelligent person in the room. And isn't that why this crime was committed? To be a wise guy, to be a smartass, to be a know-it-all. So fancy the temerity of the cops to ask him if he knew what this was about. Of course he damn well did. So that's the first thing I want to deal with. Were you guys aware of that? Let me know in the comments if you were already. Something else that's easy to miss in the affidavit is the suggestion that D and B, the survivors, must have sent texts both to one another and perhaps to others as early as, well, around about 4 a.m., 4:25 a.m., right? Now, according to the affidavit, I'm reading from the affidavit, it says, quote, this leads investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene. This is DM seeing the male go out the sliding door. This is the pertinent part. The combination of D's statements to law enforcement, reviews of forensic downloads of records from B and D's phone. I think it should be B and D's phones. Then also the video of a suspect video, as described below, leads investigators to believe the homicides occurred between 4 and 4:25 a.m. So what you can extrapolate from that is this idea that part of the downloads of records from B and D's phone seems to indicate that the crime occurred at that time, unless they woke up later on and said, you know what, I thought I heard something at 4 o'clock in the morning. Suppose that's also possible. Well, what do you think's more likely? That she saw something, went into a room, closed the door, picked up her phone and texted her friend. And I think B and D are much closer than B and D are to Xana and Maddie and Kaylee. I mean, if you think about it, that trio, Maddie, Kaylee, and Xana, they were basically friends. Whereas B and D, you kind of get the idea that they were, they knew each other and they were friends as well, but they were closer than they were to the other roommates. Does that make sense? And so obviously what this means is that B will necessarily also need to explain what she saw and heard. She's referred to very seldom in an affidavit, but she is mentioned here as something to do with her phone records. Because clearly where we are now, both survivors didn't sleep through the entire incident, did they? And it doesn't seem like they woke up just before 911 and called 911 at 11:58. And I know this is tired territory for some of you, but what this really just shows is what we can expect, what we are likely to see and hear during the trial, if not via questioning from the prosecution, then from the defense. And by me mentioning this, it's not really casting shade at anyone, simply saying this is an aspect to the case that's worth noting, that's all. It's not looking at it one way or the other. To me, the perpetrator, the person that we really want to dig into his story and figure out what's going on, is Kohberger. The rest is sort of contextual, and it is relevant, but it's nevertheless just contextual. So I'm not going to take it further than that. I have prepared a live stream in quite a lot of detail. Should be quite interesting. So make sure you don't miss that. That'll be following this video. So probably somewhere around 6 p.m. Pacific time, which is, I think, 4 p.m. Eastern. So look out for that. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.